Ever wondered what our planet might look like by the year 2100? It sounds like science fiction, but scientists are working on this very question right now, and the answers are both fascinating and a little bit scary. The key to this future lies in something we talk about all the time: carbon dioxide, or CO2. Let's dive into how today's emissions are scripting tomorrow's climate. First off, how do scientists even predict the future? They use incredibly complex computer models. Think of these like the most advanced weather forecasts you've ever seen, but instead of predicting next week's rain, they're forecasting the climate decades or even centuries from now. These models simulate the entire Earth system: oceans, atmosphere, ice, land, and how they all interact. They plug in different amounts of future CO2 emissions, creating various what-if scenarios. These scenarios range from optimistic, where we drastically cut emissions starting now, to pessimistic, where we continue with business as usual. The story they tell is stark. In a high-emissions world, the changes are dramatic. By 2100, global average temperatures could rise by 4 to 5 degrees Celsius, or even more. That might not sound like a huge number, but for the planet, it's a massive fever. The last ice age was only about 5 to 6 degrees colder than today, so a 4-degree warming is a colossal shift in the other direction. What does a 4-degree warmer world actually feel like? Well, heat waves that are currently rare, once-in-a-century events could become a yearly summer occurrence in many parts of the world. Imagine summers where temperatures regularly soar above 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit, making outdoor work dangerous and putting immense strain on our power grids from everyone blasting their air conditioning. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's a serious health risk, especially for the elderly, young children, and those with pre-existing health conditions. Then there are the oceans. The oceans are our planet's biggest heat sponge. They've absorbed over 90% of the extra heat trapped by our greenhouse gas emissions, but they can't do it forever without consequences. As the water warms, it expands. This, combined with melting glaciers and ice sheets in Greenland and Antarctica, leads to significant sea level rise. Projections for 2100 in a high-emissions scenario range from half a meter to over a meter. A meter of sea level rise would be catastrophic for coastal cities around the globe. Places like Miami, Venice, Dhaka, and many small island nations could face constant flooding or even become uninhabitable. Millions of people would be displaced, creating an unprecedented refugee crisis. And it's not just about the water level. The extra CO2 in the atmosphere gets absorbed by the ocean, making it more acidic. This process, known as ocean acidification, is like osteoporosis for the sea. It makes it harder for creatures like corals, clams, and oysters to build their shells and skeletons. Coral reefs, the vibrant rainforests of the sea that support about a quarter of all marine life, could be almost entirely wiped out. This would be a devastating blow to marine biodiversity and the fishing industries that millions of people rely on for their livelihoods. Let's talk about weather. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture. This is a simple rule of physics, and it supercharges the water cycle. What does that mean for us? It means when it rains, it pours. We're looking at more intense and frequent extreme rainfall events, leading to more devastating floods like the ones we've seen in recent years. But here's the cruel paradox. The same dynamic can also lead to more severe droughts. Weather patterns get disrupted. Areas that are already dry could become even drier for longer periods, leading to water shortages, crop failures, and an increased risk of massive wildfires. We're essentially turning up the dial on weather extremes, making our world less stable and predictable. But what about after 2100? The scary part is that the warming doesn't just stop. CO2 can stay in the atmosphere for hundreds, even thousands of years. So, the decisions we make in the next few decades will lock in changes for centuries to come. If we continue on a high emissions path, by the year 2300, we could be looking at a world that is almost unrecognizably different. Sea levels could be several meters higher, redrawing the coastlines of entire continents. Large parts of the tropics could become too hot for humans to live in for parts of the year. The Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets could pass tipping points, locking in many more meters of sea level rise over the following centuries. It's a truly sobering thought. Now, this can all sound incredibly overwhelming and maybe even a bit hopeless. But it's crucial to remember that these are not certainties. They are predictions based on specific scenarios. The future is not yet written. These models also show us a different path. In scenarios where we take aggressive action to reduce emissions, the picture is much less dire. If we can transition to clean energy, improve energy efficiency, protect our forests, and develop new technologies to remove carbon from the atmosphere, we can steer the ship away from the worst-case outcomes. In a low-emission scenario, we might be able to limit warming to under 2 degrees Celsius, the target set by the Paris Agreement. While this would still involve significant challenges and changes, it's a world that is far more manageable. We would still see more heat waves and rising seas, but the extremes would be far less severe, giving us a fighting chance to adapt. This is why the conversation about climate change is so urgent. It's not about some distant, abstract problem. It's about the kind of world we are actively creating right now for our children, our grandchildren, and all the generations that will follow. Every bit of CO2 we emit today adds to the future warming, and conversely, every ton of CO2 we avoid emitting is a small but meaningful step toward a safer, more stable future. The science is clear. The predictions give us a stark warning, but they also give us a choice. We are standing at a crossroads in human history, and the path we choose in the coming years will define our planet's climate for centuries and even millennia. The future really is in our hands. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the science that shapes our world. And let me know in the comments what you think. What gives you hope for our planet's future? See you next time.